The stars were quiet, like they always were. On the edge of the galaxy, the alien planet Virion shined blue and green under two suns. The people of Virion were peaceful scientists, healers, and thinkers. They never trained for war. For hundreds of years they lived in harmony. But that peace was now broken. A brutal alien race called the Zarketh had started attacking Virion's outer colonies. The Virions had no strong weapons. Their defense ships were old and weak. They sent out distress calls to nearby systems, but no one answered. Finally, they decided to contact the humans of Earth. The Virions had heard stories of humans, intelligent, brave, and friendly. They hoped humans would send a few scientists or medical teams to help, maybe even one or two defense ships. They didn't expect much. Virions believed that humans were still growing in power, still learning. But they were desperate. They had no choice. So they sent a message. To the people of Earth, we request aid. We are under attack and need peaceful help to protect our people. 3 days passed. No reply came. The people of Virion began to lose hope. But on the 4th day, the sky above their capital city turned dark, not because of clouds, but because of the shadow of something massive. A huge spaceship appeared in orbit, then another, and another. Soon, more than 20 giant ships surrounded Virion. The people looked up in fear. These ships were not small. These were warships. At the Virion High Council, leaders gathered to watch the human fleet on their screens. "What is this?" one elder asked. "We asked for help, not an invasion." The main human ship requested permission to land. It was called the Titanus, a massive silver ship with weapons glowing on its sides. The council hesitated, but finally allowed the ship to land at their main base. The ground shook as the Titanus touched down. A long ramp opened, and out came the human commander. He was tall, with calm eyes and a strong voice. His name was Commander Riley. Behind him stood soldiers in black armor holding advanced weapons. The armor looked like it was alive. Lights blinking, plates shifting like muscles. The Virion stepped back nervous. Commander Riley looked at the council and spoke clearly. "We received your message. You asked for help. We brought justice." The Virions were silent. Justice? This was not what they expected. They thought humans would send peacekeepers, not a war fleet. The Virion leader, Elder Marin, stepped forward. "Commander, we are thankful, but this is too much. We only asked for help with defense, not full battleships." Commander Riley looked around. "Your enemy is not weak. The Zarketh are growing faster than you know. They will not stop with your colonies. They want your planet, and after that they will come for others, including Earth." The room fell silent. The humans weren't just helping, they were preparing for something bigger. But the Virions still didn't understand why so much power was needed. Elder Marin asked again, "But why such force? Why such heavy weapons? Are you here only to help? Or is there another reason?" Riley did not answer directly. Instead, he turned to one of his officers and gave a short order. A few minutes later, everyone was taken to the command center inside the Titanus. Screens showed images of battles across the galaxy. Human ships were already fighting Zarketh fleets near other star systems. Earth was already at war, but quietly. Riley explained, "The Zarketh aren't just your problem. They're spreading everywhere. We've been fighting them in the dark, protecting small planets silently. But now, we need to strike harder." The Virions listened carefully. They began to understand. This was not just a rescue mission. It was part of a bigger human plan. Still, something felt strange. The humans had so much information about the Zarketh, more than the Virions ever had. And their weapons were too advanced. How did Earth develop this power so fast? Later that night, a Virion scientist named Kale sneaked into the human ship's databay. He was curious and worried. He wanted to know the real reason behind the human arrival. As he moved through dark halls, he found a hidden room with locked files. He used his scanner and unlocked a few documents. What he found shocked him. There was a message from Earth Command to Commander Riley. It read, "After Virion rescue, proceed to Phase 2. Do not reveal full plan until target is secure." Kale's hands shook. What was Phase 2? What was the full plan? Were the humans using Virion as a testing ground for something? Suddenly, a human guard caught him, but to Kale's surprise, the guard did not arrest him. He just looked at Kale and said, "Be careful. Curiosity is dangerous in times of war." Then he walked away. Kale returned to the council and shared what he saw. Panic spread. Some leaders now believed that the humans were hiding something. Others believed they should trust them. After all, the Zarketh were still a threat, and the humans had saved their colonies. But one thing was clear to everyone now. The humans were not weak. They were powerful, organized, and ready for war. And they didn't just come to help. They came with a mission. What that mission was, no one knew for sure. But deep inside, the Virions began to feel a strange fear, not just of their enemies, but of their new allies. Far above, in the dark sky of Virion, more human ships entered orbit. The stars were no longer quiet. The sun rose slowly over the city of Virion, but the people did not look up at the light. Their eyes were still on the sky, where the giant human ships floated like metal giants. The ground was calm, but above, the air was heavy with questions. The Virions had never seen such machines before. Some of them felt safe, others felt nervous. They asked themselves, did we invite protectors or conquerors? In the fields outside the capital, human soldiers were training. They moved fast, like machines. Their armor could change shape to protect them from heat or cold. If one soldier got hurt, his suit gave him medicine and healed small wounds in seconds. Their weapons were strange too. Laser rifles that made no sound but could break stone walls with one shot. Virion scientists watched in silence. One whispered, "They are not just strong, they are far ahead of us." Another replied, "Yes." And they didn't show all this power in the message they sent before arriving. Why hide so much? Inside the human command ship Titanus, Commander Riley stood before a 3D map of the galaxy. He pointed to several red zones on the map, areas where the Zarketh had already attacked. "They're growing faster than we thought," he said to his officers. "We need to move forward before they bring their main force." An officer nodded. "Phase 2 is almost ready. Shall we inform the Virions?" Riley paused. "Not yet. They're not ready." At that same moment, the Virion Council met in secret. Elder Marin stood up and spoke with a heavy voice. "We have a problem. One of our scientists found something on the human ship, a message. It talks about Phase 2, but no one knows what that means." Another council member asked, "Do you think they will harm us?" Marin shook his head. "I don't know, but they are hiding something. We cannot ignore that." Still, not all Virions felt fear. Some were amazed by the humans' skills and bravery. One young officer named Laurel said, "We asked for help. They answered. They're strong, yes, but they saved our colonies when no one else came." Her words brought silence to the room. It was true. Without the humans, they would have lost half their planet by now. Outside the city, the first joint patrol began. Human and Virion soldiers walked side by side. The humans showed them how to scan for Zarketh technology. They shared small devices that could warn of danger underground. The Virions had never seen such things. During the patrol, a strange noise came from the trees. The humans raised their weapons instantly. The Virions froze. A small Zarketh scout creature leaped from the bushes. Before it could touch the ground, 3 human shots hit it in the air. It fell, burning. The Virions gasped. The humans did not smile. They simply lowered their guns and kept moving. Later that night, Laurel sat beside one of the human soldiers, a man named Jason. She asked him, "Why do you fight like this? Why risk your lives for us?" Jason looked up at the stars. "We fight because we've seen what the Zarketh can do. They destroy, enslave, burn entire planets. If we don't stop them here, they will reach Earth. We don't just fight for you. We fight for everyone." His words stayed with Laurel. Maybe the humans were not just warriors. Maybe they were guardians. But deep in the forest, far from the city, a secret meeting was taking place. A Virion spy met with another agent, this one from a rebel group that didn't trust outsiders. The spy showed him the message he found on the human ship. "We need to prepare," the rebel said. "They say they're here to help. But what, if they plan to stay forever?" Back at the command center, the humans were moving fast. Their engineers set up strong defense towers. Their ships scanned the ground and skies. Robots worked day and night to build new supply stations. In just 2 days, the humans had built more than the Virions had in 10 years. Commander Riley watched from the tower. His face was calm, but inside he knew time was running out. The Zarketh had not attacked again. Yet. But that was the problem. They were waiting, planning something big. The human AI system, named Echo, spoke softly into Riley's ear. "Commander, long-range scans detect a large energy surge beyond the eastern mountains. Zarketh activity is increasing." Riley narrowed his eyes. "It's starting," he called his officers. "Prepare the fleet. We move at sunrise." But he didn't inform the Virion Council. Not yet. The next morning, the people of Virion woke to the sound of human engines. The sky was filled with light. Human warships were rising into the air. Giant machines walked across the fields. Troops marched in lines. The humans were preparing for something big. The Virions gathered in the streets. Some cheered, others were silent. Laurel ran to the council building. "They're moving. The humans are preparing for war. Did they tell you anything?" Elder Marin shook his head. "No. But we have no choice now. We must decide. Do we stand with them, or prepare to stand against them?" As the ships rose into the sky and the city watched in silence, one thing became clear. The real battle had not even begun, and no one knew what the humans were truly planning. The skies above Virion were no longer peaceful. The human warships moved like shadows across the clouds, fast and quiet. People stood on rooftops and hills, watching the machines rise into the air. Children pointed at the glowing engines. Elders stayed silent. Everyone could feel it. Something big was coming. Commander Riley stood on the deck of the Titanus, looking out at the eastern mountains. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. Next to him stood Captain Lynn, one of his most trusted officers. She was quiet, always listening, always thinking. "They know we're coming," Riley said. Captain Lynn nodded. "Echo reports rising energy signals. Zarketh activity confirmed. They're building something out there, maybe a command center." Riley gave a short nod. "Then we hit it before it's ready." Meanwhile, on the ground, Laurel walked through the human base, watching the soldiers prepare. They moved with purpose, checking weapons, loading supplies, fixing armor. She saw giant machines called walkers, standing tall like moving towers, each one carrying heavy cannons. She stopped to speak with Jason, the human soldier she had met before. He was checking his gear. "You're going into the mountains?" she asked. Jason looked at her. "Yeah, Commander says we strike first." "Why not tell our council?" she asked. He hesitated. "Because we don't know who we can trust. If someone warns the Zarketh, the whole mission fails." Laurel's heart sank. Did the humans truly think someone from Virion would betray them? Or did they just want control? At the Virion Council chamber, Elder Marin was furious. "They launched an operation without telling us. They treat us like children." One council member said quietly, "Maybe they don't want help. Maybe they want to win alone, so we owe them everything." Marin stood and slammed his hand on the table. "We must follow them. If this war happens on our land, we must be part of it." Without waiting, he ordered a Virion scout team to fly toward the eastern mountains. Their ships were small, quiet, and fast. High above, the human fleet reached the Zarketh site. The area was dark, filled with sharp rocks and black smoke rising from underground. Strange towers made of bone and metal poked out of the earth. The Zarketh were building a base, but it wasn't finished yet. Commander Riley gave the signal. "Attack in 3, 2, 1. The sky exploded with light. Missiles shot down like falling stars. Cannons roared. The ground shook. The Zarketh were not ready. Their soldiers ran, screamed, and fell. But then, something unexpected happened. From deep inside the ground, a strange hum began to rise. Then the earth cracked open, and a massive shape crawled out. It was not just a building. It was alive. The Zarketh had built a living machine. It stood like a beast made of wires, bones, and fire. Its eyes glowed red, and it screamed with a voice that sounded like thunder. Human ships fired at it, but the blasts bounced off. The creature raised a huge claw and slammed it into the ground. One of the human ships lost control and crashed. Commander Riley's voice stayed calm. "Focus fire. Don't panic. Bring in the walkers." Back at the base, the Virion scouts saw the chaos. One of them sent a message to the council. "Humans, under attack. Zarketh creature, unlike anything we've seen before." The council was silent. Elder Marin stood. "Send all defense teams. We fight together now." Lyrell ran to her post and joined her team. She was scared, but she knew one thing. She couldn't stand by and do nothing. As human walkers reached the battlefield, they opened fire with powerful weapons. One shot hit the creature's side, making it roar in pain. But it wasn't enough. The Zarketh beast turned and released a wave of dark energy, knocking several ships out of the sky. Inside the Titanus, Echo's voice warned, "Energy levels unstable. This creature is draining power from the land itself." Commander Riley gritted, his teeth. "Then we end this now." He gave a final order. "Activate Hammerfall." Captain Lin turned pale. "Sir, are you sure?" "That weapon was not meant for atmosphere use. We have no choice." High above, a hidden human satellite began to glow. It charged for 20 seconds, then released a massive beam of light directly at the creature. The mountain shook. The sky turned white. When the light faded, the Zarketh monster was gone. The land was broken. Smoke rose from the earth. But it was over, or so they thought. One human scout picked up a signal. "Sir, something's moving underground. A tunnel. It's heading toward the capital." Commander Riley's eyes widened. They tricked us. This was a distraction. Back at the capital city of Virion, alarms began to ring, and for the first time the people looked not at the sky, but at the ground below. Something was coming, and this time, the war would not wait. The ground shook gently beneath the Virion capital. At first, people thought it was just aftershocks from the battle in the mountains, but then came the second tremor. Stronger, deeper. Dishes fell from tables, windows rattled, animals cried, "Out!" The warning alarm screamed across the city. Lyrell stood in the control tower, her eyes wide. "Underground movement detected, fast and direct," the operator said. "Something is heading this way." Commander Riley's voice echoed through the emergency channel. "All Virion defense units, prepare for breach. All civilians, evacuate central zones." From deep underground, strange metallic noises rose. Then, with a thunderous crash, the earth split open near the city gates. A giant tunnel mouth formed, and black creatures began to crawl out. They weren't like the usual Zarketh scouts. These ones were faster, stronger, and armored. Their eyes glowed blue, and they carried glowing weapons that looked like living blades. The Virion soldiers opened fire. Energy blasts lit the sky. But the enemy kept coming. They moved like a swarm, covering the streets like a black wave. Commander Riley's forces arrived quickly. Human tanks rolled through narrow alleys. Drones flew over rooftops, scanning and firing. Jason and his squad landed in the southern sector and immediately started pushing the creatures back, but it was chaos. Lyrell joined the front line. She fired her weapon, but her hand shook. One of the creatures jumped toward her, but before it reached her, a human drone blasted it into ash. Jason ran to her side. "You okay?" She nodded, breathing hard. They knew exactly where to hit us. Jason looked at the broken streets, the fleeing civilians, the burning sky. "They've been watching, planning. That thing in the mountains was just a test. In the human command ship, Echo gave a grim report. Zarketh forces are using tunnel networks we can't fully map. Their main force is still underground. Estimated time to full breach, 45 minutes. Commander Riley didn't blink. We stop them here. Prepare the Iron Line. The Iron Line was a secret plan. Massive defense walls buried beneath Virion soil by human engineers. They were never activated before. No one, not even the Virion Council, knew how powerful they were. Giant, metal walls rose from the earth, cutting across the city in sharp lines. Turrets unfolded. Electric shields came to life. A line of fire and metal formed, separating the inner city from the enemy. But the Zarketh kept coming. Underground, a hidden tunnel burst open inside the central command zone. Virion officers screamed. It wasn't just soldiers anymore. Zarketh. Leaders had arrived. These creatures wore armor made of dark crystals, and they spoke in strange growls. One of them moved toward the power core. If it reached the main energy grid, the whole city would go dark. Laurel heard the alert. "We have to protect the core," she shouted. Jason turned to her. "I'm going with you." They rushed inside, followed by a team of human and Virion soldiers. The corridors were quiet. Too quiet. Then from the shadows came the hiss of a blade. One of the dark armored Zarketh charged. Jason stepped forward, blocking the blow with his arm shield. The force pushed him back. Laurel fired, hitting the creature in the side, but it kept moving. Two more followed. The battle inside the hall was fast and brutal. One by one, the creatures fell. But then they heard something worse. A deep, pulsing sound filled the air. The Zarketh had planted a living bomb inside the power core room. It glowed red, pulsing like a heartbeat. Echo's voice came over Jason's comm. "That's a Phase 5 organic detonator. If it explodes, nothing within 5 kilometers survives." Laurel froze. "We can't defuse it?" Jason looked at the timer. 90 seconds. "Not without the key code. And only the Zarketh commander has it." Above them, Commander Riley heard the same report. He made a quick decision. "Echo, scan all Zarketh signals." "Find the commander," Echo replied. "Located, near Sector 12. He's trying to escape." Commander Riley turned to Captain Lin. "Send me there. I'll get the code myself." Lin grabbed his arm. "Sir, you won't make it back in time." "I don't need to make it back. I just need to stop the bomb." She stared at him, silent. Then she nodded. Riley and a strike team flew low through burning streets. They found the Zarketh commander trying to vanish into a tunnel. Riley jumped down and faced the beast alone. The two clashed. Man against monster. Riley moved with speed and strength the Virions had never seen. After a long fight, he pinned the creature, grabbed the code device from its arm, and shouted into the comm, "Echo, upload this." Back in the power core room, the timer showed 11 seconds. Echo spoke fast. "Code received. Bomb deactivated." Laurel and Jason both dropped to their knees in relief. But they heard nothing from Riley. The comm was silent. Outside, the fighting slowed. The Zarketh pulled back, disappearing into their tunnels. The streets were broken, the sky dark, the city bruised, but it still stood. Laurel walked out slowly. People gathered around. The Iron Line held. The humans had saved the city. But no one saw Riley. Captain Lin stood at the top of the human base and looked at the sunrise. Her eyes were wet. "He gave everything," she whispered. And far below the ground, the Zarketh tunnels glowed again. The war wasn't over. It had only just begun. The city of Virion was quiet, but the calm was only on the surface. Deep inside, everyone knew the war was far from over. The streets were still damaged, and the sky carried dark smoke. But the worst was the silence about Commander Riley. No one knew where he was or if he was alive. Laurel stood by the city gates, watching the horizon. The humans had helped save the day, but now questions filled her mind. Why had the humans not told them everything? Why had Riley risked his life alone? Jason came up beside her. "We won the battle, but the war is still dangerous. The Zarketh will return and they will come stronger. Lorel nodded. I want to believe the humans are our friends, but I am scared we will lose more if we don't understand them better. In the human command ship, Captain Lin paced back and forth. She had just received a secret message from an unknown source inside the Zarketh tunnels. It said the enemy was planning a massive attack bigger than anything before. Lin called her officers. We must prepare for a full invasion. The Zarketh will try to take Virion by force. Meanwhile, the Virion Council held an emergency meeting. Elder Marin looked tired but strong. The humans saved our city. We must trust them. But we also need to stand united. If we fight divided, the Zarketh will win. Lyril stood up. We can't just wait. We must learn how to fight with the humans, not just beside them. We need to understand their technology and their plans. The council agreed. They sent teams to work with human engineers and scientists. Slowly, the two groups began to share knowledge. Virion soldiers learned to use human weapons and armor. Humans studied Virion tactics and terrain, but trust was slow to grow. Some Virions whispered in the streets that humans wanted to take over their planet. Some humans felt frustrated by the slow cooperation. Tension hung in the air like a storm ready to break. One night, Lorel walked alone near the border of the city. She looked up at the stars and thought of Commander Riley. Had he really died? Or was he still fighting somewhere alone? Suddenly, her communicator beeped. It was a secret message from an unknown source. The message was short but clear. Riley alive. Deep underground. Rescue soon. Her heart jumped. She showed the message to Jason. We have to find him. Jason nodded. This could change everything. Together, they planned a rescue mission. They knew it would be dangerous. The tunnels were full of traps and enemy soldiers. But they had no choice. The next morning, a small team of human and Virion soldiers entered the dark tunnels. The air was cold and thick. Strange noises echoed around them. Every step could be their last. As they moved deeper, they found signs of recent battles, broken weapons, scorch marks, and strange symbols on the walls. Suddenly, they heard a faint voice calling for help. Here! Lorel shouted. They followed the sound. In a small, hidden chamber, they found Commander Riley. He was weak, but alive. His armor was broken and he looked tired. Riley smiled weakly. You came. We never gave up, Lorel said. We're taking you home. But their return was not easy. The tunnels began to collapse. Enemy soldiers were closing in fast. Jason and the team fought fiercely. They covered Riley and Lorel as they ran. The walls shook, dust filled the air, and the path was dark. At last, they broke through to the surface. The sun was rising, warm and bright. The rescue was a success. Commander Riley was back. But the war was far from over. The Zarketh would return, stronger, faster, and more dangerous than ever. Commander Riley's return brought hope and relief to the people of Virion. His wounds were healing, but his mind was full of worries. He knew the Zarketh were planning something huge, something that could destroy everything. In the human command center, Riley sat with Captain Lin and the Virion Council. The Zarketh won't stop, he said. Their leader is gathering forces from other planets. Soon they will launch a full-scale invasion. Elder Marin frowned. We must prepare our defenses, but alone, we cannot win. Riley looked at the humans and Virions gathered. Together, we have a chance. But we need a plan that no one expects. Captain Lin added, We've been developing a new weapon. It can disable their technology from far away, but it needs time to be ready. Lorel, standing near the window, felt a mix of hope and fear. If we wait too long, the Zarketh might attack first. Suddenly, alarms sounded. Outside, the sky lit up with strange lights. The Zarketh fleet had arrived. Thousands of ships darkened the horizon, ready to strike. The battle began without warning. The Virion and human forces rushed to defend the city. Giant war machines roared and fired. Soldiers ran through the streets shouting orders. Explosions shook the ground. The air was thick with smoke and fire. L'Rell fought bravely alongside Jason. They pushed back wave after wave of Zarketh soldiers, but the enemy kept coming, stronger and more numerous. High above, Commander Riley coordinated the defense. He directed human ships to target the enemy's key vessels. Captain Lin managed the new weapon's activation, trying to finish it before the city fell. The new weapon, called the Starbreaker, was a massive satellite cannon. It could fire a powerful beam that disrupted energy fields and electronics, but it required full power to work. Inside the command center, tension rose. Power at 70%, 80, 90, Lin said. Suddenly the Zarketh launched, a surprise attack on the power grid. The city's lights flickered and dimmed. The Starbreaker was losing energy fast. Riley clenched his fists. We need a distraction. Now. L'Rell volunteered. I will lead a team to hit their main command ship. If we take it down, the attack might slow. Jason nodded. We go with you. Together, they flew out in small fighters, dodging enemy fire. The sky was full of chaos, ships exploding, lasers cutting through clouds, the roar of engines. They reached the Zarketh command ship, a giant dark fortress in the sky. It was heavily guarded, with turrets and fighters swarming around it. L'Rell's team attacked fiercely. They dodged beams and missiles, pushing through the defenses. Inside the ship, they fought hand-to-hand with the enemy guards. L'Rell moved fast, using every skill she had learned from the humans and Virions. She reached the command bridge and planted explosives. Outside, the Starbreaker finally charged fully. Captain Lin fired the beam and it hit the enemy fleet like a thunderbolt. Ships exploded, weapons shut down, and the enemy lines broke. Back on the ground, the Zarketh forces began to retreat. L'Rell's explosives blew the command ship apart, just as she escaped with Jason and the others. The battle was won, but the cost was high. Many soldiers were lost. The city was damaged, and the Zarketh would not forget this defeat. Commander Riley looked at the rising sun. This is only the beginning. The war will test us all. L'Rell stood beside him, ready for whatever came next, because humans and Virions had found a new strength, together. The city of Virion was quiet now, but the calm felt fragile. The war had changed everything. Humans and Virions had fought side by side and won an important battle, but the future was still uncertain. Commander Riley stood on the highest tower, looking out at the stars. He thought about all they had lost and all they had gained. This war is far from over, he said softly, but we have shown that together, we are unstoppable. L'Rell joined him, her eyes full of hope and strength. We learn to trust each other. That is the real power we have. Jason came next, his face serious but calm. We saved our world today. Tomorrow we protect others. The universe is big, and dangers are everywhere. Suddenly, Riley's communicator beeped. A new message appeared, a signal from far away, from a place no one had ever heard of before. It was a call for help. Riley looked at L'Rell and Jason. This is just the start. Our fight, our journey, is only beginning. L'Rell smiled, ready for the next challenge. We will stand together no matter what comes. Jason nodded. For Virion, for Earth, for all who need us. As their ship prepared to leave, the stars shone brighter than ever. The unknown was waiting, full of dangers and hope. Humans and Virions united were ready to face the future. Together they would write a new story among the stars. The battle was over, but the war was not finished. Virion City was tired and wounded, but its people were alive. Humans and Virions stood side by side, united like never before. Commander Riley looked over the broken streets and burning skies. He felt both pride and worry. The Zarketh will come back, he said quietly. They always do. But this time we are ready. L'Rell stood beside him. We have learned a lot. We fight stronger now, and we fight together. Jason joined them, his armor scratched but his spirit unbroken. We stopped their biggest attack, but next time it might be even worse. Captain Lin walked up, holding a data pad. We have new intelligence. The Zarketh are building a massive weapon on a hidden moon. If they finish it, no planet will be safe. Elder Marin nodded grimly. Then we must strike first. The leaders made a quick plan. A small strike team would travel to the moon and destroy the weapon before it was ready. Laurel volunteered. I will go. I want to finish this. Jason and Riley insisted on going with her. No one goes alone, Riley said firmly. The three of them prepared for the most dangerous mission of all. They boarded a small ship and blasted off into space. The journey was silent and tense. They all knew the risks. The hidden moon was deep in enemy territory, guarded by the toughest Zarketh forces. As they approached, their ship was attacked. Enemy fighters swarmed around them, firing lasers and missiles. The small team fought back with all their skill. They dodged explosions and flew through narrow asteroid fields. Finally, they landed on the moon. The weapon was massive, a giant structure glowing with dark energy. It pulsed like a heart, ready to destroy entire worlds. Laurel led the team inside. They moved carefully through dark corridors filled with traps and guards. The enemy was strong, but the team was determined. They reached the core of the weapon. Jason planted explosives while Riley covered their backs. Laurel fought off the last guards with fierce courage. Explosives set, Jason whispered. Time to leave, Riley said. They raced back to their ship, alarms ringing behind them. The weapon started to explode, shaking the moon. They barely escaped as the surface cracked, and fire spread. Back on Virion, the team was welcomed as heroes. The weapon was destroyed. The Zarketh's plan was stopped, but the battle had changed everyone. Humans and Virions were no longer just allies. They were family. Commander Riley looked at Laurel and Jason. We fought the darkness and won, but peace will take time. Laurel smiled. We are ready to build that peace. Together. Jason nodded. For our future. For every world. The stars shone bright above, and for the first time in a long time, hope filled the skies. The war was not over forever, but the power of humans and Virions united was unstoppable. After the destruction of the Zarketh weapon, peace returned to Virion, at least for now. The city was healing, and the people were rebuilding. Humans and Virions worked side by side, sharing knowledge, strength, and hope. Commander Riley stood on a hill overlooking the city. The sky was clear, but he knew danger was never far. We have won an important battle, he said softly. But the universe is full of threats. We must stay ready. Laurel and Jason joined him. We have learned to fight together, Laurel said. That is our greatest power. Jason smiled. The Zarketh may come back, or new enemies may appear. But we will face them as one. Suddenly, Riley's communicator beeped. A new message arrived. A star map showing unknown worlds and new signals. Someone or something was reaching out. Riley looked at Laurel and Jason. This is just the beginning. Our fight is bigger than we thought. Laurel's eyes sparkled with determination. Then let's be ready. Together we can protect not just Virion but all worlds. As their ship prepared to launch for the new mission, the stars shone bright, full of mystery and adventure. The future was uncertain, but one thing was sure. Humans and Virions were a force no enemy could stop. Together, they would face the unknown and write their own destiny among the stars.